What is up, everyone? Long time no see. Got my Stan Lee Jones soda. So, been super busy lately. Haven't been able to do videos in a while. I know I keep wanting to do more unboxing videos, but I just can't find the time. But one thing I do want to talk about, get a discussion going on, is some more video game stuff, and it's going to be both Dragon Ball Z Fighters and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I want to keep the discussion going. I want to make sure I do videos every now and then to constantly keep the discussion going, because I really like everyone that has weighed in on both topics, so thank you for everyone that's commented. I really like talking to you guys in the comments and getting a good discussion going, and you know, collectively piecing together what we have and trying to come up with the best info possible to, you know, for predictions and things like that. So thank you to everyone that's weighed in. And normally I would make separate videos for each game, but there hasn't been a ton of information out there, so I'm just combining it into one, and we'll talk about them both because they're somewhat related in a way. And basically what it's going to be from is from EVO and from San Diego Comic-Con, which just ended earlier today. So I want to talk about the things that we had. I wanted to do a video on EVO, but that was like days before Comic-Con came around, so figured I would wait till they finished, and there was more info, so we'll talk about that all. And we'll start out with Marvel vs. Capcom. And I know pretty much everyone's enthusiasm for this game has kind of just died off. Everyone I talk to, no one's really excited for it anymore, and no one's really happy about it, and I don't think a lot of people are going to buy it when it comes out. I think most people are going to either wait on it or not get it at all. And I totally understand that. But for me personally, the reason I still like to talk about it is because, you know, I really just don't want to give up hope. And I've been saying the same thing all along. The initial release for Marvel vs. Capcom was so exciting. Everyone was hyped for it. But since that day, we really haven't gotten any good news. They keep giving us information, but nothing's really been good or exciting. But people, that has deterred a lot of people. But that, you know, that doesn't mean the game isn't going to be good. There's just a lot of things to be upset about. So my prediction for that game is basically it's going to be very similar to Street Fighter V in the sense that very few people are going to buy it upon release. I'm sure Capcom has sales goals that they're not going to meet, and it's not going to sell as many as it probably would have. And so just like Street Fighter V, a lot of people aren't going to buy it on release, but Capcom's still going to sell plenty of copies, and they're still going to make a profit because due to things like DLC and people buying it at a later date and things like promotion, because now they're doing their tournaments and they have all kinds of promotion through that, so they're still going to make a profit. So there's no way the game's going to die off. And yeah, it's going to be similar in that sense. So the funny thing about Street Fighter V, people like to look at it as like a big flop, but it wasn't. It still made a ton of money, and it's still making money to this day. So video game trends, usually, much like anything else like movies, there's a really high peak when it's released, and then it pretty much dies off almost instantly, and then never really comes back because people move on to bigger and better things. Street Fighter V is a very rare case where it didn't really do that. There was a surge at the beginning, but a small one because not a lot of people bought it, but it kind of kept I wouldn't say a steady pace. It did drop off, but not as much as normal games do, and it's been consistently selling ever since. So they haven't met their sales goals, and I think to date they've only sold 1.6 million copies, which still hasn't met their goal, but is still plenty for them to make a profit off of. And it's still selling to this day. So that's why it's kind of rare, because things like the tournaments. People see it in the tournaments because Capcom promotes the hell out of it, and then people are still buying it because they're constantly releasing new DLC, so it keeps motion. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Marvel vs. Capcom. A lot of people have been completely deterred from it for so many reasons, and I don't blame them, but I think it will continue to sell because constant DLC is going to be rolling out, and once it has enough content for people to buy, they'll release like bundle packages and make it super cheap, so I think it will have an extended lifetime. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be popular upon release date, but I do think it will be popular once people see it in tournament. And you bet your ass it's going to be in tournament because Capcom is not going to let this thing fall by the side. They have a deal with TBS, which they're doing, and they have partnerships with all these companies that put on these tournaments, so you bet that it will be in there. And I think once people see it in tournament, that will give it some excitement because it does have a lot of viability in the sense of tournament play. There are a lot of, from what I've seen and what I've played myself and what I've heard other video game critics talk about, there is a lot of viability to it, and we're just barely seeing the surface. But, you know, everyone's upset about the character roster because the whole leak said only 28 characters, but that's actually proving to not be entirely true either. From what we've seen from that leak, it does appear to be true for the most part, but that also was a very early leak. It was very early information, and from what we've seen so far, the game is probably, most likely, upon release, going to have more than 28 characters. Not a lot, only a few more, maybe 30, maybe 32, but it will have more because I think they are staying on track, so we may see a little bit more. And you know, it's not a big difference, probably not enough to change people's minds, but the point I guess I'm trying to make is that we are seeing improvements. And for me personally, I don't want to give up on it because I'm such a huge fan of the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise. Believe me, I'm just as disappointed as everyone when I heard the character roster and their character picks. I'm just as disappointed, but I don't want to give up on the series because I loved all the other games so much. I can't just turn my back on it. So I want to at least give it a try, and I hope other people do too. And so many people are complaining about it, but at the end of the day, we still don't have the game. We are seeing improvements, and it hasn't been released yet. Even in the past month, we've seen improvements. So many people complain about the graphics, and we've already seen from Comic-Con and EVO that they are being updated, that they have changed Chun-Li's face and other things. And yeah, it's not perfect yet, but you can see the wheels turning and you can see the improvements. And some of the more recent characters that we've seen, like Hagar or Nemesis, they actually look pretty good graphic-wise. Nemesis actually looks pretty badass. Chun-Li still looks better, but still not great. She still looks kind of retarded. What we've seen in the most recent build look pretty nice. The graphics are pretty great as far as those. There are just some that don't look good. And basically what it is, it's the more humanoid looking characters don't look as good as they should, like Dante and like Chun-Li. But the mutant characters like Nemesis, they look pretty good. He has a lot of detail. And it is a huge step up from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which I still, to this day, say those graphics were pretty shitty. But if you look at the comparison of just like Hagar from then and now, it's worlds of difference. You can see so much detail from the veins on his arms to actual like texture on his skin and things like that that just did not exist in Marvel vs. Capcom. It was so simplistic by comparison. It was like realistic versus like Lego versions. So yeah, we are seeing improvements, and I just don't want to completely give up on it, but I want to know your guys' thoughts too. I'm going to give my opinions throughout this video, and I want to hear your guys' opinions too. Have you completely lost faith in the title and you've shunned it altogether, or do you still hold a little bit of hope? And for those of you who do, like, maybe you'll just wait on release day, not get it right away, and wait to see what it is. Or is there anyone out there that is still going to try it on release day? So me, I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible through all the hate out there, through everything, through all the negativity and all the bad rumors that we have. I'm trying to hold out hope. And you know, at the end of the day, I could be totally wrong. If I am, fine, no big deal. But I want to be as optimistic as possible. And a lot of things about this game, basically, it's just a completely different game now. So many people are disappointed because it's not like the previous one, it's just completely different. It's not 3v3 anymore, there's no assists, and that's why I think it's going to be good in tournament, because there's so much that we haven't seen, because all the gameplay videos that we've seen from like actual people playing it, it doesn't look very cool because nobody knows what they're doing, because everyone's trying to play the new one like they did Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You can watch all the videos, people try to do the same old combos, and it just doesn't work. Because it's different now, there's going to be a learning curve. And I have a feeling that when it does get to tournaments, we're going to see a lot of cool shit. And by that time, hopefully we'll have some better DLC and some more characters. But what we have seen, we did see one, in my opinion, one cool thing that I saw was Jeddah, which is one of the only new characters, and Gamora is new too, she looks okay. But Jeddah looked badass. So if you tuned into EVO at the end of one of the tournaments, at the end of the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournament, after the winner played, they did a little demo with, I forget the player's name. It was Combo Fiend was playing on one side, and, oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on it. Someone will remind me in the comments. But they were playing the game, showed off Jeddah. He looked really cool, his design was well, his moves look cool, and that's what we want to see. People got excited over that because it's the first new thing we've seen. So that's why there's no hype, because we've seen old characters. So I'm hoping the hype will come over it eventually. So that's what I'm still trying to look forward to. And what else? Yeah, I don't want to give up on the series at all. I'm still holding out hope for it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Does anyone out there still have hope? And let me know your guys' opinions on it. Was anyone excited to see gameplay Do you like the updated graphics? There's still things that we can definitely hope for, but yeah, I just want to know what everyone's thoughts are. I just want to touch on that pretty quickly and the little information we've had. And again, at Comic-Con, we got 4 characters for the game, but it's old characters we've seen before. But there are some new things, like some level 3s are different, like Spider-Man and Frank West have some new level 3s, which look pretty cool. It's definitely interesting, but still probably not enough to change people's opinions of it. So like I said, release date probably won't be huge. We'll probably get more than 28 characters, at the very least 28, probably a few more than that, and we'll see from there. But I have a feeling we're going to know more about DLC at the game's release, so maybe that'll instill some hope too. Me, personally, I'm still going to at least try it out. It's still worth it to me to at least try the game. I understand it's a money issue for some people. I'm going to be trying it out, and I'm still going to be giving updates on it, and I still want to hear your guys' opinions on it. But if you want to just hate on the game, don't worry about it, no big deal. So that's what we've gotten from Marvel vs. Capcom. Little bits of information, but little tiny glimmers of hope, little tiny improvements that we're seeing, which at least, if nothing else, it's at least headed in the right direction. We can at least see from the people that are showing off that they are listening to people's comments, that they're not just trying to screw everyone. They do see the issues there, and they have changed it even in that past month from when we got the leak. So hopefully there's going to be more positivity to come. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed and my hopes up that hopefully something good will come of it. But as always, let me know your thoughts. Now, let's talk about the other game, the one that's much more exciting for people to talk about, and that is Dragon Ball FighterZ. We've gotten the same, we've probably gotten less information, but the same stream of stuff. So we kind of got stuff from EVO, and then we got stuff at San Diego Comic-Con. We're probably going to see these games give information around the same time until at least one of their releases. So that's pretty cool. But from what we saw, EVO was supposed to have Trunks in the game. The company actually did confirm that it was going to be a Trunks build at EVO, but then it ended up not being that, which raises a lot of questions, one of which being, well, is there a problem with the game? Is it not going as fast as they had hoped? Which I would assume why, because they did say that and ended up not having him in there and not even having gameplay footage until after it, so that we're curious about that. But they did announce they're doing a closed beta of it starting on the 26th, so hopefully we can all get in on it and have our hands on it as well. But even though I haven't played it, I have a very good feel for the game, and every article I've read goes into a lot of detail about each character. So the new characters we've gotten are Trunks, Krillin, and Piccolo. None of which are surprising. Everyone knew, like, when I did my character roster, those were for sure characters. Nobody ever thought those weren't going to be in, so those were given, and I'm super excited about that. And as we're seeing each character, I'm even more excited because they're going into detail how different each character is. That was one major concern of mine that's always been an issue with Dragon Ball games in the past, is character variety. For games like Marvel vs. Capcom, like Marvel characters, they're all so completely different in their power and skill sets that you really don't ever run into a problem of characters being too similar. Dragon Ball, however, they're all, I wouldn't say exactly the same by any means, but they're all very similar in the fact that they all do like ki blasts, like half of them know a Kamehameha wave, and they're just all very similar in that sense to where if it's a fighting game, it's hard to differentiate them. But so far, it's only 9 characters, but so far they've done a very good job. And like I predicted, Piccolo is going to have his extending arm as part of his main moveset, which looks really cool. We haven't seen him in action yet, or Krillin, but I'm really excited to, and I definitely want to main Piccolo, because he looks badass. Unfortunately, he doesn't have his cape and his little hat like I was hoping he did, because I like that look better, but you know, whatever. And so he's going to be more of a distance thing, and it's said that he'll have a special beam cannon. And Krillin, something different about him is his ki blasts, they said, are actually going to be able to be maneuvered throughout the screen. He did that in the show at various times, had one where you could actually move it around and not in a straight line, so that's going to be really interesting. It also said he's going to have his Destructo Disc move, which we've already seen from Frieza, but it said that Krillin's is going to be unblockable. Now, we've only seen still images of it, but from what I can tell of the still images, Krillin's moves, where his moving ki blast and his Destructo Disc, they look like hyper moves. They look like, one of them actually looks like a level 3. So I'm not sure what they mean by unblockable, because if it's a level 3, it wouldn't matter. You can't block during a level 3 anyway. But I don't know if it's just going to be a regular move that's completely unblockable. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. And they also have announced that characters that you do your key blast, you can actually hold buttons for a little bit longer and do a stronger one. So almost like in the show where he charges up blast, apparently you're going to be able to do that in the game as well, which is really cool. Which reminds me, is very reminiscent of Super Smash Bros., where you don't just have attacks, you can hold your attack for a second or two longer, and it increases the power exponentially. So it's really cool that they're adding that feature to the game too. I don't know how useful it's going to be though, because it does seem very fast-paced, so it seems like the opportunity to hold something and charge it up is going to be very hard to do. And from what we've seen, I don't think there's a stun state or a dizzy state like Street Fighter. I haven't seen that, there could be, so that seems like the only way that would be beneficial to that. But that is very interesting, so I'm glad that Arc Systems is really doing what they're known for. Like I said in the previous video, they're really known for giving character variety. And I trust them, and as we're seeing, they really are doing that, character variety. And they're making moves completely different in different skill sets. And Trunks, you saw he has his sword and everything like that. And he also has a super that shoots straight up, which is really cool. So they definitely are, with the limited characters they have, giving it a lot of variety. So I can't wait to get my hands on it and even see the difference between like Goku and Vegeta, because from what I've seen they look pretty similar, but I'm hoping they mix that up too. And we haven't seen too much as far as the new costumes or anything. We've only seen minor variant changes, so I'm hoping that we can all see some videos of Krillin, Trunks, and Piccolo in the near future. And in this build, this closed beta, it opens July 26th, but that's only to register. So I don't know, they haven't said if the demo is going to be playable then too, or if that's just the registration and it's going to come at a later date. I'm thinking that's just registration, and the game will be playable a little bit later, probably into August, something like that. That's my guess, but I don't know for sure. But I'm really excited for that, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and play around with it. It's going to be tricky with only 9 characters, but this is the other question everyone's wondering about, is the roster size too, and I want to get your guys' opinion on that as well. I've kind of talked about not specific numbers, but I'm really hoping we get a bigger roster. Normally, it wouldn't matter that much for Dragon Ball games because it's always 1v1. Since it's 3 versus 3, I really hope Arc Systems known for their small rosters, but I really hope that's the one thing they change, because when each person has 3 characters, you run into a lot of people using the same character, and I don't like that. It always bugs me when I have to fight someone that's using the exact same character. I always feel too much pressure that way, but I hope they mix it up. That way when I play people, we're not all picking the same characters. With the beta, it's definitely going to be like that with only 9 characters, but I hope there's some variety. And honestly, the one problem I'm like stressing out about is I have no idea who I'm going to put on my team. Every single character they announce, I'm like, oh my god, that's the coolest fucking character I've ever seen in my life. That person has to be on my team. And I said that 9 times for every 9 characters. So I have no idea who's going to be on my team. But let me know what you guys are going to do. So far, who have we seen and who you think's coming? Who are your 3 characters going to be? Who's your team going to be? From what I've seeing so far, I think I'm going to I want to try out Frieza for sure. He looks super fun. Vegeta's my favorite, so I got to at least try him. And then I want to try out Piccolo as a range attack. So I think that's a good mix of like close range attack, power, and then far range with Piccolo. So that's going to be the team I'm going to try out for the beta. Let me know what team you guys are going to try out and what you think your strategy is going to be. The only other piece of information is that they have mentioned that there is going to be a story mode to this game, but they were very specific in saying, they gave very little detail, by the way, so here's more where some more discussion is going to happen and more speculation is going to happen about the story mode, because they said they're not going to do like they've ever done in the past. All the previous games, they're not going to do the typical story mode, because have you seen in all the previous games, the story mode is just the story of Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball Z. You play through the show, and then you just do, they've done it in different ways, but you're either, sometimes you're just Goku through the whole thing, or you change characters depending on what saga you're in, but that's what they've always done, and they said they're definitely not doing that this time, which I don't mind, because I've seen the show a million times, I've played that story mode a million times, so I don't mind them changing it up, but I'm very curious about what they're going to do for the story mode thing, because it doesn't seem like there's really much other option other than following the story that's already laid about in the show. So I'm super curious, and I honestly don't have any speculation of how they're going to do it differently. Maybe they're going to rewrite an alternate story, or I really have no idea. Maybe they're going to make it more like Xenoverse, where it's like alternate timelines kind of thing. That I'm actually not sure on at all. And we have seen some quick little pictures of what the online mode's going to be like. You're going to have the little chibi versions of a character, and you're going to walk through that. So that seems pretty cool too. Again, very similar to what they've done in Guilty Gear and BlazBlue and things like that. So Arc Systems definitely has a system they kind of go to. So that helps us kind of determine what the game's going to be like. And they've done great in the past, so everyone's super excited for this, and it looks very exciting, very adventurous. I think there was some more information in there, but kind of flaky on the last moment with more information. But yeah, I want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on both of those games, what you think's going to happen, what you're looking forward to, what you're not looking forward to, and if anyone has predictions out there, let's hear them. Let's talk about that. I'm usually the one giving the predictions, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts too. And as always, you know, just keep it civil in the comments. Everyone be nice to each other, no arguing, anything like that. But yeah, let me hear you guys' thoughts on that. I want to keep this as short as possible, not make this too long of a video, and there wasn't much information to talk about anyway, but let's hope to the future. Fingers crossed, both games turn out excellent. And you know, one thing I do want to mention before we go is that Marvel vs. Capcom is changing almost everything that made Marvel vs. Capcom Marvel vs. Capcom. They're changing their whole game completely, but I realized today that, you know, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's good Marvel vs. Capcom isn't doing 3v3 and isn't doing assists anymore, because now that left the door open for Dragon Ball FighterZ, because they're taking almost that exact template and putting it to Dragon Ball. If Marvel vs. Capcom had stayed like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and kept everything the same, then we would just have two games that are exactly the same. So maybe at the end of the day, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that Marvel's changing all that stuff, because now we're going to have two completely separate games versus two that play very, very similar. Because I talked about the button layout for Dragon Ball, and it's almost identical to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like the button layout, the like X Factor versus Sparkling Blast, like the assist button, like it's identical. So maybe it is good that they're changing it up, because now we'll see both games in tournament, whereas normally we'd have to pick one because they're too close and they're too similar. Which makes me so excited for EVO next year. I've got to get there. Super excited for that too. So yeah, let me know your guys' opinion. I'm going to do more videos coming up, and I got a video about this. I don't know if anyone noticed my t-shirt. The Jim Lee X-Men actually signed by Jim Lee, because I met him yesterday. I actually hung out with him. So I might do a short video about that too. Some cool things that came across. Cool pickups from Comic-Con, things about EVO. So hopefully I do have more time, because there's so many more videos I want to do, I just haven't found the time. But in the meantime, let me know you guys' thoughts and opinions. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you all so much for supporting. Thank you all for weighing in on the comments. Thank you all for talking and replying. I love that you guys do that, and I'm so excited to do more of that in the future. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. I will talk to you below. Love you all. Peace.